Hey YNR fans! Waving hand, welcome to YNR Trends, your go-to spot for the juiciest Young and the Restless updates, shocking spoilers, and all the drama you can't stop talking about. From surprise returns to scandalous twists, we break it all down for you, every day. So grab your coffee, hit that subscribe button, and let's dive right into Genoa City's hottest gossip. The morning sun over Genoa City seemed to rise with tension already lingering in the air, as though the city itself could sense the storm of emotions waiting to erupt inside the Abbott Mansion, Newman Enterprises, and Chancellor Winters. Tuesday's episode opened with a silence that was louder than words, the kind that stretches out in living rooms where secrets have been buried too long, and those secrets were now on the verge of exploding. At the Abbott estate, Jack sat at the head of the dining table with an untouched cup of coffee, staring into the swirling black liquid like it might give him answers. Diane hovered nearby, trying to ease the distance that had crept into their marriage ever since Kyle had begun drifting further from the family fold. Diane's voice broke the silence when she admitted she feared losing not only Kyle but the entire Abbott legacy if the battles tearing the family apart didn't stop soon. Jack, his jaw tightening, admitted that his worry was not just about Kyle, he was worried about Ashley too, her recent erratic behavior making him question how much longer he could protect his sister without losing his son in the process. Across town at Newman Enterprises, Victoria was in her office, pacing the room as if she were preparing for war. Her mind was racing over Audra's bold moves within the company and the whispers she had heard about Claire's latest alliance with Nick. Victoria had tried to keep her composure in front of her father, but the truth was she felt cornered. When Victor appeared in her doorway unannounced, his stern expression made her freeze mid-pace. He reminded her in his gravelly tone that Newman Enterprises had survived decades of betrayal, takeover attempts, and family wars, but it always came back to one thing: loyalty. Victoria bristled, feeling as though her father was questioning hers, but she bit her tongue when Victor leaned in and asked if she was ready to handle Audra or if he needed to step in himself. That was Victor's way, always pushing, always testing, and Victoria knew if she faltered, Audra's climb to power could be unstoppable. But Victoria also knew something Victor didn't: Audra's newest secret could change everything, and she intended to weaponize it at the perfect moment. Meanwhile, over at Crimson Lights, Sharon was cleaning up after the early morning rush when Nick walked in looking like he hadn't slept in days. His tie was loose, his eyes bloodshot, and his entire demeanor screamed of a man on the edge. Sharon gently teased him about burning the candle at both ends, but her voice softened when she saw the pain behind his eyes. Nick confessed that he was haunted by the choices he had made in recent weeks, especially when it came to trying to balance his loyalty to his family with his heart's pull toward Sharon. She listened quietly, pouring him a coffee, knowing that sometimes Nick didn't need advice, he just needed someone to understand. But Sharon's calm shattered when Nick revealed that Victor had already started maneuvering him into a position where he would have to choose between standing by Victoria or risking his place in the Newman family entirely. Sharon's hand froze on the coffee pot as she realized the weight of what Nick was saying. This wasn't just another Newman family squabble, this was the kind of fracture that could reshape the entire company and every relationship tied to it. Back at Chancellor Winters, Devin and Lily were locked in another round of tense negotiations with Billy, who had once again gone rogue in his approach to company strategy. Devin's patience was wearing thin, his voice sharper than usual as he accused Billy of playing with fire and risking not only the company but their family's future. Lily tried to mediate, her voice calm but firm, reminding Devin that their constant battles with Billy were exhausting their energy and distracting them from the bigger picture, protecting what Chancellor Winters represented. Billy, never one to back down, shot back that Devin was too focused on control and not enough on innovation. The three of them stood in a triangle of tension, each unwilling to back down, and it was clear this was not going to be resolved anytime soon. What none of them realized was that Kane, watching from the shadows of Genoa City, was quietly gathering information that could throw their entire world into chaos. He had returned with a vengeance, and every move he made was carefully calculated to reclaim everything he believed was stolen from him. At Society, Abby was trying to put on a brave face as she oversaw the restaurant's operations, but her mind was elsewhere. Chance had been distant lately, and though she told herself it was just the demands of his job, deep down she worried it was something more. Her fears weren't helped when she overheard a hushed conversation between two diners about a police investigation tied to someone close to the Newman family. Abby's blood ran cold as she wondered if Chance was involved and, worse, if he was hiding something from her. Before she could dwell on it further, Devin walked in looking furious from his battle with Billy, and Abby immediately shifted gears, offering him a sympathetic ear. Devin vented about the never-ending power struggles within Chancellor Winters, his voice heavy with frustration, and Abby couldn't help but feel the weight of how divided Genoa City families had become. Everyone was fighting for power, for love, for control, and it seemed like no one was winning. Back at the Abbott mansion, Kyle was packing his suitcase when Diane walked in, her face pale with shock. She pleaded with him to stop, to think about what he was doing, but Kyle was determined. He told his mother he was tired of being pulled between family loyalty and his own desires, and he needed space to figure out who he really was. Diane's tears fell as she begged him not to walk away, reminding him that family was all they had. But Kyle's words cut deep when he admitted that sometimes family was the very thing that suffocated him. As he zipped up his suitcase and walked out the door, Diane collapsed into a chair, shaking with sobs. Upstairs, Jack, who had overheard the entire exchange, clenched his fists and whispered under his breath that he wouldn't lose his son, not to business, not to ambition, and not to anyone who dared pull Kyle further away. The landscape of daytime television is a unique and enduring facet of American culture, a world where narrative arcs unfold with a deliberate pace, allowing for a depth of character exploration and plot complexity that other formats seldom afford. Within this domain, The Young and the Restless stands as a titan, a program that has not only defined the genre for decades but has also maintained a remarkable consistency in its ability to reflect and refract the human condition through the heightened prism of Genoa City's dramas. An analysis of the events of Tuesday, September 16, 2025, reveals an episode that is emblematic of the show's core strengths, its mastery of intergenerational conflict, the intricate weaving of long-standing history with immediate crisis, and its nuanced, if often extravagant, portrayal of emotional and psychological stakes. This particular day in the show's timeline serves as a potent microcosm of the entire series, demonstrating how a single episode can function as both a self-contained narrative unit and a crucial link in a much larger chain of storytelling. The episode is immediately preoccupied with the fallout of recent, seismic events, primarily centered on the powerful Abbott and Newman families, whose fortunes and misfortunes have long been the bedrock of the series. The narrative thrust on this Tuesday is not one of action, but of reaction. It is a study in consequences. The emotional core of the hour resides within the opulent yet often oppressive confines of the Abbott mansion, where the family grapples with the public and personal humiliation of its patriarch, Jack Abbott. His ill-advised and desperate business maneuver, a failed attempt to outmaneuver his perennial rival Victor Newman, has backfired spectacularly. The episode wisely avoids simply rehashing the business details of the failure, understanding that for the audience, the corporate warfare is merely the MacGuffin, the true drama is in the relational collateral damage. Jack is not just a CEO who miscalculated, he is a father, a brother, and a grandfather whose actions have jeopardized not just a company, but a legacy. The writing in these domestic scenes is particularly sharp, showcasing the show's ability to write intelligent, emotionally resonant dialogue for characters who have a shared history spanning literal decades. The confrontation between Jack and his children, particularly Billy, is laden with subtext. It is not merely about the present failure, but about a lifetime of perceived inadequacies, rivalries, and the heavy burden of expectation. Billy's anger is multifaceted, it is financial, it is professional, but most piercingly, it is filial. He sees in Jack's failure a repetition of past patterns, a hubris that he himself has struggled with, and this mirroring only fuels his fury. Meanwhile, Diane Jenkins Abbott's position is one of fascinating complexity. Once a reviled figure in Genoa City, her hard-won redemption and marriage to Jack place her in the role of both defender and realist. Her attempts to mediate are not just those of a worried wife but of a woman fiercely protecting the stability she has fought so desperately to attain. She must defend her husband to his family while simultaneously confronting him in private, a delicate balancing act that the episode explores with grace. This dynamic exemplifies the show's enduring appeal, the ability to take a classic trope, the disgraced patriarch, and refresh it through the specific, well-established relationships of its characters. Simultaneously, the episode expertly crosscuts this familial implosion with the fallout on the Newman side. However, in a testament to the show's understanding of moral ambiguity, Victor Newman's victory is not portrayed as a triumphant vindication but as a somber, almost pyrrhic exercise of power. Victor is not depicted gloating in his penthouse office. Instead, he is shown in his home, confronted by a weary Victoria. Their exchange is critical to understanding the modern iteration of these characters. Victoria, now fully inhabiting her role as CEO and matriarch in waiting, does not question her father's tactical genius but rather its human cost. She articulates the toll that these endless cycles of vengeance take on the family's soul and its public image. Victor, ever the imperious sovereign, dismisses her concerns as sentimental weaknesses necessary for the maintenance of power, yet the camera lingers on his face after she leaves, capturing a flicker of doubt, of isolation. This subtlety is key. It prevents Victor from becoming a mere cartoon villain and instead presents him as a tragic figure, a king who has won every battle but risks losing connection to the very kingdom he built it for. This parallel structure, the Abbotts dealing with public failure and the Newmans dealing with a hollow victory, creates a rich thematic texture, suggesting that in the world of Genoa City, there are no true winners in these wars, only varying degrees of loss. Interwoven with these heavyweight narratives are the stories of the younger generation, whose plots often serve as both a counterpoint and a direct consequence of their parents' actions. The episode on September 16 continues a significant storyline involving Harrison Locke and the complex web of custody and paternity surrounding him. The scenes involving Kyle Abbott and Claire Grace are charged with a different kind of energy than the boardroom dramas of their elders. The stakes are primal, the safety and well-being of a child. Kyle's desperation is palpable, a mirror of Jack's own desperation, yet it is purer, less corrupted by ego and more directly fueled by love and fear. His alliance with Claire is one of the episode's more intriguing elements. Claire, a character with her own deeply traumatic history tied to the Newmans, represents a bridge between the warring families and between the past and present. Her hard-won empathy and resilience make her a unique confidant for Kyle, and their scenes together offer a glimmer of hope and cooperation amidst the generational strife. This storyline successfully talks to the main Abbott-Newman feud, illustrating how the children are often forced to clean up the emotional and practical messes left by their parents, seeking new, more humane ways of resolving conflict. Furthermore, the episode does not neglect the romantic and personal entanglements that are a staple of the genre. The relationship between Daniel Romalotti and Lily Winters is explored with a maturity that has evolved over time. Their conflict is not one of mustache-twirling villains or contrived misunderstandings, but of genuine, relatable professional and personal growing pains. A scene between them at Crimson Lights, the show's iconic hub of social interaction, is a masterclass in quiet, intimate writing. They discuss the pressures of co-parenting with an ex-partner, the challenges of merging two busy professional lives, and the fear of losing individual identity within a couple. This is sophisticated material for daytime television, treating its audience with respect and acknowledging that romance for adults is complicated by history, responsibility, and ambition. It provides a necessary tonal shift from the high-stakes corporate and familial battles, grounding the episode in a reality that is accessible to the viewer, even as the surroundings remain impossibly glamorous. The technical execution of the episode is also worthy of note. The direction favors close-ups, understanding that the show's power derives from the audience's ability to read the emotions flickering across the faces of its beloved actors. The editing rhythm is deliberate, allowing scenes to breathe and conversations to unfold naturally, rather than resorting to a frantic pace. The production design continues to be a character in itself. The Abbott mansion feels lived in and weighted with history, while the Newman ranch exudes a cold, imposing grandeur that reflects its owner. The musical score, a hallmark of the series, is used sparingly but effectively, swelling to underscore moments of high emotion without dictating the audience's response. In conclusion, the episode of The Young and the Restless that aired on Tuesday, September 16, 2025, is a testament to the show's enduring narrative power. It functions perfectly as a single entry point, providing enough exposition for a casual viewer to grasp the immediate tensions, while offering profound depth and payoff for the long-term audience member who understands the decades of history informing every glance and loaded silence. It successfully balances multiple storylines across different tonal registers, from the Shakespearean tragedy of the Abbott and Newman patriarchs to the intimate, modern romance of Daniel and Lily and the primal, protective narratives surrounding Harrison. The episode demonstrates that the true restlessness of the title is not merely a function of romantic intrigue, but a deeper, more existential condition, the restless striving for power, for respect, for legacy, and for love, and the often painful realization that these goals are perpetually in conflict. It is this unwavering focus on character, on the emotional truth beneath the melodramatic surface, that has allowed the young and the restless to not just survive but thrive, remaining a vital and compelling exploration of the most potent dramas of all, those that play out within and between families.